everyone, welcome to the show. My name is Amanda Ostrander. I am a teacher-turned-homeschool mom, and this is Raising A to Z, a place where we talk about all things homeschooling. And today I'm going to give you a walkthrough and a review of math lessons for living education. Math Lessons for Living Education is the math program we've been using in our homeschooling for a number of years now. I've done a couple of videos about it, and every time I do, I get the same comments about, I want to do a really good look through. I want to see what's inside, what the insides look like. And so I'm going to do that today while I give you my honest review about what it is, why I love it, as well as like what I don't like about it and what we don't do. Because let's be real, you're not going to always use a program exactly the way it was intended. I have two different books for you today. I have Math Lessons for Living Education. This is level 2. This is currently what Zoe is doing. And then I thought I'd also bring you out level 4 because this is what Alexi is going to be getting into. She's just finishing up level 3 right now. And so she's going to start level 4 as soon as she's done, which will probably be in maybe 3 weeks. So I have the level 4 here. So it's never been used. So I can show you exactly what it looks like right now. This one, Zoe's 2/3 of the way through, give or take. So it's already been used a little bit. So I can show you what that looks like. But this is the program we've been using, and I really like it. So let's start off with why I like it. Let's start off with what it looks like on the inside. I'm going to go through Zoe's. The book does not come spiral bound. Let me start by saying that. It doesn't come spiral bound. I do that myself. I take the books to Staples and they cut the spine off and they put a spiral bind on it for, I think it's $7. It's a little bit less if you can drop them off and pick them up a couple days later. Because the book is so thick, I highly recommend it, especially for these. It just makes it so much easier to for the kids to flip through the pages. It lays flatter, especially with younger kids. And the other thing is I can very easily this is a page you're doing and just have her work on that. So it does, I really like having them spiral bound. It is an extra cost, but I find it's worth it, especially if you have a bit, these are pretty thick books. They're over an inch thick. So I do find it makes it a lot easier. So we're going to start on this one, which is the level 4. So when you open it up, it starts with its scope and sequence, which the scope and sequence is going to tell you what is being covered in this particular book. So you can always look through and see what that is. It does help. Then you go in through and it has different things. It does have a supply list. They're very big in using everyday manipulatives instead of buying big expensive packages and stuff. So they have a list of things that you can have on hand. We'll get into manipulatives in a minute. But then after that, it has a suggested daily schedule of what to do on what days. Some people love it. Basically, if you follow the suggested schedule, you would complete this. It's 5 days a week and you would complete it in 36 weeks. I don't follow the schedule, being fully honest. We don't follow the schedule whatsoever, and we're still completing it. We just go and complete it when we complete it. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. But there is a schedule if you're I really do want to stay on a certain pace. There is a pacing schedule here for you to do that. And some people really like that. The other thing that the book has when we talk about manipulatives is they have a list of suggested manipulatives like we saw right here. But then they also have manipulatives at the back. Here we go. So when you get into this, it has manipulatives built into the book. These are things that you're supposed to pull out. You put them on construction paper or I'll just laminate them. And it is the manipulatives you would be using. And it's just much simpler to use. So you don't have to buy expensive equipment. You're basically kind of making your own little things right here, right now. It has some charts for you. It has this one. This particular book is big into fractions, which is why there's a lot of fraction manipulatives. If I go over to the level 2, so they're very big. They have their place value houses. So you know these, they have your place value counting mat, hundreds counters. It has numbers, your addition mat, your subtraction fact sheet mat, your calendar. It has all these kinds of things. And then you just laminate them. So this is stuff that I've already taken out of the book. So this is Zoe's hundreds chart. It It has the full one on one side and then the blank one on the other. And then she also has her clock. So we've been doing a lot of time lately, so we've been using this a lot. And then you just have them, like that's yours. And so let's say you started at a certain level. Almost everything is included for that level. So like everything you need is in the book, which is a really nice feature. The other nice feature about this book is that for level 1 and 2, they don't include a teacher like answer guide, because I'm hoping we can all do like basic addition and subtraction. Like 2 plus 5 is 7. Like I'm hoping we can figure that out. After that, it does include at the back for levels 3 and up, it does include your solutions manual. So like it's built in. You don't have to like, if you don't know the answer, or if you're like, what do I do? Your solution manual is already built in, which is a nice feature when it comes to this book. You don't have multiple books. You don't have to pay for a teacher's manual or a solution manual. You don't have to pay for extra manipulatives. It is all included, which makes this a very good mid-price point for a math program. Just this book is, I want to say $75, which considering the price of some math programs is really, really reasonable. The full bundle pack, which we'll talk in a minute, is under $100. So anyway, let's look at this again. So we're going back to math lessons for living education. So those are some things for the parent side of this book that you might want to know about or consider. Other things to know about this program, it is Christian. So there is a lot of biblical Christian references. That's not your jam, no problem. Just want to let you know, being very honest about that, because nothing irritates me more than when people suggest curriculum to people who want secular stuff and it's all religious. So this is Christian curriculum. The other thing to know about this program is that it is spiraled, meaning that while they'll spend time learning one concept in a week, oftentimes other concepts will come back, or there'll be a review within the week of things you've already learned. So that is great for, it's great for a lot of students, but it's really great for students who need to have kind of constant refreshers so they don't forget, because it's just naturally built in throughout the whole book. So for example, in Zoe's book, time, every kind of 2 or 3 weeks, there'll be a time question. And it's kind of built in throughout the book that it comes back. So you're not having kids who do, time the first, let's say in September, and then when they see time again the next September, they're like, they've forgotten it. So it does come back, and the concepts spiral throughout the book. It's not mastery based, which is maybe not for some people. I think it's a great program. My kids really enjoy it. And it's very helpful for a lot of families who are looking for something that will bring those concepts up and help their kids remember it. So what does a typical week look like for math lesson for living education? What does that look like? Every week lesson starts with a story. So the story throughout the whole book is connected. It follows the story of twins, Charlie and Charlotte. They are going through life and the stories change. But anyways, like it's following their life, and through their life, they're learning math. Awesome. So on day 1, you would read your story. It's anywhere from 1 to sometimes 2 pages. And then you would do the first day's worth of work. So this particular week we're doing, up here tells you exactly what we're doing. Introduction to measurement, inches, feet, review of time and shapes. So we go and we do our measurements. We're counting by 5s or skip counting. We're doing some measurements here. Using your laminating sheet fact, you're going to do this. This is day 2. Day 3, you have some word problems and then some math review. Day 4, we're looking at shapes. And then day 5, there is another kind of a review page. Sometimes a review, sometimes it's just more of a practice, depending on the week. That's very typical for the program. How I use it is not how the program is designed. I personally find the stories at the beginning super annoying. They're very, I'd say 8 times out of 10, they're not related to what's being taught. That is where most of the religious content is in the stories. I find they just get annoying, and like, they're just, to me, and when I'm doing math, it just feels like a waste of time. So for the most part, I skip the stories, being fully honest. I skip the stories, and then I assign my kids pretty much 1 to 2 pages, depending on what the activity is, to complete per day. So we're getting, because it's not a lot, which is a nice thing about this program. It is a very gentle program. It is not pushing kids to like do 45 math questions a day. It's pushing them to do a couple. And if they got it, then we can kind of move on. So that's one of the things that I like about it, is that it is gentle. And I find that really great, especially for like the younger elementary schools years, like 1st, 2nd, 3rd grade. It's kind of like you're easing into things. It's not quite so intense. I will say around grade 3, the level 3, which Alexi is working on right now, it does up. You know, see how here there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 questions on this page for one day. The level 3 there'd probably be like close to 15 questions of different things, right? So in Alexi's, it would be different. Let me see if I can find one here. For example, in here, this would be day 1. So you're having some division, you're having some multiplication, you're having some, you know, problem solving things here. This would be day 1. Obviously, this is significantly more than this one, right? So it does up when it comes to like grade 3. I did notice a significant kind of like increase in number of questions, but it's still not as much as some programs. Some programs I've seen kids do like 30 addition questions a day, 40 addition questions a day before they're allowed to like move on to the next page. And that's just one day. And because it's always a variety of questions, it doesn't feel quite as overwhelming, which is nice. I do like that. So that's kind of typical of what the book looks like. You have the one day, you have the story, then you have a worksheet. So let's go back here. We have our story. We have our introduction to addition. We have some addition, and then, oh, here's clock stuff. Remember, so clock stuff comes back. Next day, oh, we have some addition, and then we're looking at our addition facts. Next day, we have some addition with some patterns. Patterns have come back. And then on day 4 and 5, we have some addition, and then we have some coins. And then every now and then there's like another page. Sometimes there's a puzzle. Sometimes there's like a maze, a code thing, something that's maybe a little bit more fun than like your standard math on a Friday, but it's always in addition to something else. So that's kind of the program at a glance. It's a very pretty program. It's a very colorful program. The biggest complaint about this program that has come across from a lot of parents is that because it's so gentle, that if your kids need extra practice, it's hard to, like, there isn't really a lot of questions that you can, like, give them extra practice for. Does that make sense? You know what I mean? Like, when there's only 10 questions on the page, how do you get your kids more questions unless you're making them up or doing other things? So last year, the year before, they introduced the Practice Makes Perfect guides. So these guides bundle, you can buy them bundled from the Learning House together. So they go together. Like this is the level 4. And it is extra worksheets that go with your math program. So it specifically tells you this lesson here, this is for lesson 24, exercise 1. So if you're in lesson 24, you can open up lesson 24. We're doing measurement concepts, gallons, quarts, pints, and cups. Here's your first, they have this whole recipe thing. They have some stuff about measurement. This is all day 1. These are things you prep out. All right, but like all of that, here's the worksheets that go with it. If you wanted to do some extra worksheets on top of this activity that you're doing here. If you're like, hey, I really want to do more, that's the worksheet. Then you go on to day 2. Move it over. Day 2, they're doing a little bit, while they're doing measurements here, they're bringing back some like money here. So the lessons often either are being spiraled or they're completely complementary to what's happening in the book. So that is a nice feature, is that they've brought back this book. They brought in this book that is extra work. It is extra practice for your kid. We have not done a ton with Zoe's. Zoe doesn't need extra help in her book. And then I didn't get to do a lot with Alexi because her book, I got it before this was available. Unfortunately, I wish I had it. So I do have it for her next level, which I'm very excited about because she's going to need it. The other nice thing about it, if I come over here, yeah, it's bringing in lots of different activities, bringing lots of different ways to practice things. It does bring in different hands-on activities sometimes. So this is all about like area and like there's some building of shapes, building of buildings and stuff. It's just bringing in different kinds of activities that maybe you can do if you want, you don't have to. The other thing that's great about the Practice Makes Perfect series is at the back it does have a quiz section, which I know some people are saying, well, it's really hard with math lessons for living education. If you live in an area where there's supposed to be testing or quizzes, there's no tests in this book. So this one does have a quiz section. So it does have several quizzes and it tells you when to do them. I think is it one per quarter? Yeah. So there's 4 quizzes at the back that kind of like, if you work quarterly through the book, you could do kind of like a quarterly quiz. And then again, it does have the solution manual at the back again. So it just makes it easy for you as a parent to use. This would also be great if you're like finishing this up and you want to do some extra practice over the summer. You can do these activities rather than buying the next level if you are at that point. But they do go really well together and they do complement each other. And I do find that now you have the ability to have that extra practice if you need it, which is really, really nice. So Lexi is starting level 4. Zoe is working through level 2 right now. I really enjoy the Masterbooks Math Lessons for Living Education. I purchased mine from Learning House. The Learning House buy it online. The Learning House is in Brampton, I believe, but you can buy it on learninghouse.ca. And you can buy them in the bundle or individually. I prefer the bundling price for both of them is about just under $100. I think it's $98, which isn't bad. Like I said, for a math curriculum that's going to last you all year round, it has everything included. Practice sheets, quizzes, all your workbooks, everything explained in this book. You don't have extra manipulatives. It's a really reasonably priced program for math, which is nice. That is Math Lessons for Living Education by Masterbooks is the company. It is a very gentle Charlotte Mason math program that incorporates a lot of like manipulatives you have at home. It is not overly expensive, but it is definitely a thorough program and covers a lot of things. The one other downside is that it's American. So I do have to supplement the Canadian stuff, but like that's like 90% of math programs out there anyway. So it is what it is. That's not a big deal. And I was excited to see that in the 4th grade book, not only are they doing imperial math, they also bring in metric, which is kind of cool. So I hope you guys saw everything you wanted to see. I hope you guys got a good review, good clear look at everything. Thank you so much for watching. If you guys have any questions or comments, make sure you leave some down below. I'll be doing a Q&A video really, really soon. So if you have any questions at all, leave a comment. I'll put a link for the Learning House down below. And thank you so much for watching. Make sure you guys subscribe, click the bell to get notifications, consider becoming a member, and make sure you follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Thank you so much, and I'll see you next week.